My oldest, Bethany, teen, has a step-sibling, Maria, mid-teen. Bethany and I are white, while my husband and Maria are of Mexican descent. They've been in each other's lives since they were 6 and 7, and overall the relationship is good until recently. Maria's quinceañera is coming up, and my husband and his ex-wife took her to get her dress. The dress and alterations came to around $3,000. My daughter's been very jealous of the whole party. I've informed her that it's part of the culture, just like when she had a huge Sweet 16 party with her friends. I spent more time with her to try to make her feel better about it and got her her own much cheaper dress for the party. The party was supposed to be in 2 weeks, but my daughter, after an argument with Maria about the TV, scribbled Sharpie all over this expensive dress and ripped the back. Long story short, everyone was angry. I gave money to my husband and his ex to try to get a new dress ASAP. I informed my daughter she'd need to get a job to pay back the total price of the dress as punishment. We got into a huge argument over it, and the whole situation isn't fair that I'm choosing Maria and being a huge jerk. Am I the idiot for making my oldest daughter pay back a $3,000 dress she ruined? Edit. I spent a lot for Bethany's Sweet 16 party, around $4,000 for the venue and all that. Maria's party, I think, is around $6,000 in total, but the cost is split between my husband and his ex, so he really spent $3,000 on her party. The difference in the dress I got her is a lot. I only spent $450 on a dress she picked for the party. You wear basically a prom dress as a guest to a quinceañera, not the huge fluffy dress that Maria's gonna wear. Not the idiot. Your teen daughter destroyed someone else's property. It is her responsibility to make restitution. This isn't taking sides. It's good parenting. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to impress upon Bethany that if this were the property of someone other than a family member, the police or court system would probably be involved. She's fortunate that her parent is willing to work out a repayment plan with her instead. 100% this. OP is teaching Bethany staying out of jail skills here. She's old enough to understand what she did is wrong. This level of jealousy is also unhealthy, as is the lack of impulse control. At her age, Bethany will find out it takes a long time to earn $3,000, but the experience will do her good for finding a job after school or college. Plus, it'll teach her the value of money, and depending on the job, may even mature her too. In my state, damaging $3,000 worth of property carries a minimum penalty of 2 years and a maximum penalty of 12, and fines up to $15,000. She needs to learn her lesson now before she tries this crap on someone other than her stepfamily, who probably doesn't want to see their stepkid go to jail as a teen. She's fortunate they only want her to pay for the dress. Hispanic of Mexican descent here. I see a lot of comments regarding the cost of the dress and the age of the daughter who did the deed, both valid points. But we're not devoting enough attention to a very important detail. This girl attacked a whole family. This is an event that's right up there with weddings and funerals, where family members who haven't seen each other in years gather. And to ruin the centerpiece of that event affected many people on a deep and personal level. Personally, I would like to see this girl be made to apologize to the entire party attendees publicly. This will allow her to think about what she did and learn from this experience. Part of moving into adulthood is taking responsibility and making amends. I, 23 female, live in an apartment I inherited from my late dad. It's fully in my name since he and my mom were never married or even in a relationship, and he didn't have a wife or other kids. He passed away during a global issue, and I moved into the apartment full-time last year after graduation. The apartment was in a different city to my university, so I couldn't live in it while I was in university. I met my new boyfriend when I moved to the city. We've been officially dating for just over a year, and everything is great with him. Things are getting pretty serious, and he suggested moving in together. I was totally on board because I get lonely living alone, and I asked him to sleep over so often. He's at my apartment a lot of the time anyway. I just assumed he'd be moving into my apartment with me, so he wouldn't even have to pay rent, but he sent me links to apartments that are already in my area. I talked with him and asked him why we couldn't just live at my apartment. He said he wouldn't feel comfortable living in a house that's entirely mine, and he has no say over it. He said if we rent a new place together, that we can have an equal say in it. I got where he was coming from, but I was honest with him and said there was no way I was moving out of this amazing apartment that I lived in rent-free just to move into some other apartment in this same area and have to pay rent. I said legally, he would have tenants' rights if we lived together, and I wouldn't ask him to invest in home maintenance or renovations since that's my business. He still wasn't satisfied and said he still wasn't comfortable and was just looking out for himself. He suggested I rent the apartment out and use the rent money to pay my half of the rent for our new apartment. But I don't want to be a landlord. I have a full-time job and have absolutely no interest in dealing with all the crap that comes with being a landlord. After a lot of discussion, I said that since we can't agree, it's better that we just don't move in together and see if we can compromise later down the line. He said he's honestly hurt that I can't be bothered to put in any effort for us to live together, and that I'm coming off materialistic to be so attached to the apartment to the detriment of our relationship. We've been at a weird, awkward place in our relationship now, and I just want some perspective, I guess. Am I the idiot? Edit. I'm confused because what he wants isn't even more comfy for him. He would rather live in our worst apartment. None of the ones that he sent were better in any way because they're the relatively cheaper apartments that we'd be able to afford on our salaries and pay almost half his salary towards rent. Nothing he's saying makes sense to me because we'll both just be more uncomfortable and have to put in a lot more effort to adjust to an entirely new apartment. Not the idiot. It would be silly to move from a place you love just to pay rent. It's rich that he says you can't be bothered to put in any effort when he's not willing to compromise at all. Somewhere down the road, if you marry or want to start a family, it might make sense to sell your place and jointly buy something together. But right now, it would just be foolish. He can also pay you rent, so it feels like his place. Exactly. Just doesn't make sense. It sounds like he's just being controlling. I'd have seriously reconsidered the relationship if my partner was as financially stupid as this guy. He wants you to do something absurd, impractical, and financially damaging in order for him to be more comfy. And he doesn't recognize that his request is unreasonable and inappropriate. It's a red flag. Do not move out. It might be a plan. Get her to give up her apartment, maybe sell it, buy something he persuades her to put his name on, or marry and buy it after, and bam, he's got his claws in. Anyone else with the slightest hint of brain capacity would choose free rent over paying rent. Even though if they move in together, he should pay OP rent, though maybe at a reduced rate, so he has some rights in a contract, but make it like 3 months, then rolling or something, so it's easier to end. Not the idiot, and be careful of the signs he's throwing out. My daughter, Sophia, is a teen, and she goes to a private school where a lot more affluent families send their kids. My wife works there, so we get a huge discount on the price. I prefer to send the kids to public school, but our school district stinks a lot, so private it is. I truly don't like how the kids act at that school. The best way to say it is that they're snobby. My breaking point was that my son sent a video of my daughter being extremely rude to a fast food worker. My wife and I discussed it, and we agreed she needed to get a job so she would understand that those people deserve respect and how awful it feels for a customer to be a jerk. So she's been working at Target and dealing with all the customers. She hates it, and it got out in school that she has a job. This resulted in people not inviting her out like they used to since she's lame for having a job. My wife wanted to let her quit her job, and we argued about it. I think it's better she learns they were never her friends in the first place, and she should keep her job. My wife thinks I'm an unfair jerk. Sophia hates me at the moment. Am I the idiot for this? Edit. She's been working there for 2 weeks at this point. Son works for a lawn service company, but it's concentrated in the summer and spring. He chose to work since it's a free workout, his words. My son is 19 and is in college. Not the idiot, but as a former food service worker in high school, I believe that everyone should have to work 1 full year so you hit all the holidays once as a food service or a frontline store worker, so that they're likely to think twice before abusing staff after that. Do something similar, perhaps. She has to work for 1 full year, including full-time over the summer. I 100% agree. Everyone in the world should work 1 full year of retail or food service before entering society. While it sucks that your daughter isn't going to as many parties, I think you're correct in that they were never her friends if they think it's lame for a 16-year-old to get a job. Stick to your guns. Your daughter needs to learn that while working isn't always fun, it is essential. Unlike her so-called friends, she doesn't have rich parents to bankroll her life. Earning and saving now will teach her very important lessons that go beyond showing empathy to working people. By the way, did you find out why she was rude to the fast food worker? Oh yeah, the fast food worker didn't include the sauce packets in the bag that they were dining in. She went up after and asked for them. He told her they were by the straws, and he didn't have them at the register, literally 5 feet away from her. She was angry, yelling, and told him to grab them for her. She even asked for the manager by the end. I'll try to keep it short. My daughter-in-law, Kelly, has been in our lives for 4 years now. She's generally a good person, but has one habit that drives me up the wall. She doesn't listen and will do what she thinks is polite, even if the other person tells her not to. For example, her brother-in-law asked for no presents for his birthday. He has some trauma with birthdays and gifts, and just got dinner with everyone. Well, she got him a huge present that he didn't want. It was awkward and hurt him a lot. She does this with food a lot. If anyone is hosting, she'll bring food as a hostess gift. The main problem is that it always needs something done to it when they get there. Time in the oven, or it needs to stay cold, and I don't have the fridge space. Also, she's usually late to events due to her job. This has been a problem for most of the family with her. We've talked to her, and she doesn't stop. In short, it's disrespectful to completely ignore what we say and do the one thing we don't want. Last Thanksgiving was a nightmare. She was late, and her casserole needed time in the oven, so all the food was done but hers. I talked to her, and then she pulled the same thing at Christmas. I spoke to her again, and then it happened again. We've suggested bringing other hostess gifts but food, and she doesn't listen. At this point, it feels like a screw you. I won't listen to what you want. She's a bad guest, and my son, her husband, can't help since he's deployed and not at most events. I informed her last month that I would kick her out if she brought any food to Thanksgiving. I sent a text today reminding her to please not bring any food. My daughter called me to tell me she plans to bring food. Am I the idiot if I kick her out when she brings food? Not the idiot. This behavior is weird. Like, does she have compulsions or mental health problems? You would be totally within your rights to kick her out. But honestly, it would not be my hill to die on if she's otherwise pleasant. I would just not let her actions affect me. Arrives late with a dish that requires time in the oven? Sorry, daughter-in-law, we're eating at 1. You have most of your dish to take home. Arrive at a party with a big gift? Thank you for the thought, but we aren't doing gifts. You can keep it or donate it to a worthy cause. Honestly, this one has me scratching my head. I've read a lot of weird stories, but this one is just, why? Why can't she listen? 4 years worth of events and she won't stop? Was she raised like this or something? Jesus, what is wrong with people? If someone is asked repeatedly to respect certain boundaries and they don't, how will they learn? Even if she was raised like that, after years, one should be able to unlearn that behavior or just bring some snacks or sweets for after dinner. Chocolate or so, or a bottle of wine. I think she's doing that deliberately to claim to her husband that she's iced out because even though she was so nice to everyone, they're mean to her. Oh, I think you hit the nail on the head. Her husband is deployed and she wants attention and probably drama too. OP, I personally handle it differently. I'd let her bring the food. If it needs to go in the oven, she's the one who has to do it, and it only goes in once everything else is done. It doesn't get served if it's not done in time with all the other stuff. In short, make it her problem, and then it becomes a situation where she goes through all the trouble to make the food for nothing. If she complains, you tell her that you've told her not to bring stuff. My best friend has long suspected her boyfriend of almost 8 years of cheating on her. We're 22, and nearly everyone in our friend group thought she was being a little bit crazy because her boyfriend seemed like a great guy. So we always just tried to talk her down, tell her to trust him. He's in a busy program at work, and things will improve. She was heartbroken when he told her he had fill-in duty, he's a new cop, on Saturday night, and couldn't do the couple's costume she planned for them. I got invited to a party hosted by a coworker at the last minute on Saturday and told my friend it would be good for her to go and just get out instead of doom scrolling. We went and it was a huge party and we didn't really know anyone there, but we had a blast dressed up like last-minute slutty vampires. At about 1 a.m., her boyfriend sort of just appeared in the crowd, and when I saw the red football jersey, my heart sank because about a minute later, a girl dressed up as Taylor Swift came up and held his hand. My friend saw it, and she immediately ran to the bathroom sobbing. In the bathroom, she went from pleading with God that this wasn't real to out-and-out rage and back again. I told her we needed to leave. She said no, she had to confront him. I asked her if she confronted him, was she going to do something that would end her up in jail? She said maybe, and she was serious. I said to her we had to leave. She said no. I told her to wait and went to find my coworker to help him make her leave. We dragged her out and she made such a scene that her boyfriend finally noticed she was at the party and he took off like a scared rabbit. We got to my house and she started pounding shots. So I grabbed her keys and tried to get her to go to bed, and she kept screaming how everyone screws me over, including you. Finally, she fell asleep but woke up hungover and angry that I didn't let her find out what was going on. I said we knew what was going on. He was cheating. She called me a horrible friend for not believing her for the past few weeks. I said I was so sorry. She said I was a major idiot for making her leave because she could have caught him in the act and made a clean break. I said she was scaring me with how she was talking in the bathroom. She said she's an adult and can make her own choices. She said it would be a long time before she could forgive me and left, and I think she's blocked me on everything. I feel bad for the whole situation, and I feel bad that I may have made the wrong decision. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot for removing an intoxicated, upset friend from a volatile situation, but you're so thoroughly the idiot for dismissing her out of hand because her boyfriend seemed like a great guy. People who seem like good people cheat all the time. They don't generally walk around with, "I'm a philandering jerk," tattooed on their foreheads. If she had cause to be concerned, as a friend, you should have at least heard her out. It's not likely that your friendship will survive this. I disagree. I suspect that in time, your friend will come to understand your position here. Your relationship will get back on track. She's obviously in a heightened emotional state due to the situation with her now ex and the fact she was drinking at the time, so she likely just needs time and space to get some perspective on the matter. Hopefully that's the case, but if it's not, take comfort in knowing that this situation is the fault of her cheating partner, and ultimately, he, not you, is the idiot. This is quite an understatement. OP and all their mutual friends told her friend to ignore her gut intuition about a guy who she dated for 8 years because he's a great guy. They don't empathize with her, nor do they hear her out. They don't tell her they have her back if she turns out to be right. They side with the great guy. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, she was right about a guy she dated for almost a decade. Seriously, OP, what do you think would have happened? Would the friend have clawed his eyes out? Please, the friend would have made a scene, but that would have been a clean and undisputable breakup. We've all had friends cause scenes when intoxicated. Yes, it is embarrassing, but if the friend has zero record of violence, it's no cause for concern. OP is the idiot for meddling in what doesn't concern her.